On this training, we are going to be reviewing the dashboard features of the AllyDVM software system in order to access the dashboards and analytics. Within the AllyDVM account after logging in, just click on the Analytics tab on the left-hand side, and then you'll see a list of 4 different dashboards that are available in your system: Financial Review, Flea Tick and Heartworm Market Share, Practice DVM Revenue, and Practice Retention. In order to access any of these, click on the magnifying glass, and you'll see the dashboard will be ready to load. Now what I'm going to do is click on this triple horizontal bar here on the top in order to expand the screen. For every dashboard, you'll have access to some filters. For the financial review, you can only update the date range, and right now it's set to is in the past 30 days. This can of course be updated. You can change the days, the number of days. You can change it from days to weeks or hours or months. Usually practices do this on a day-by-day basis. If you want to do it within a certain date range, you can say is in the range and then choose the 2 different dates. For the demo, we're just going to be doing this based off of is in the past. We'll do 30 days, and then we're going to click Run. On the top, we've got this divided into 3 different segments. Practice revenue on the left here, so we can see that this practice in the last 30 days has done $317,000 of revenue. The practice is up 7.35% over a year ago. That's what the YAGO stands for. So for the same 30 days, previous year, we're up 7.35%. And then below that, you're going to see the blue line graphed here is showing you the last 12 months. The red line is the same time frame 12 months before that. So this practice is doing well. We can see that they're consistently trending above last year's. In the middle, we can see the total number of invoices for this period of time is 2,089. And that's all invoices. Even if the same pet or pet owner came in multiple times, each one of those invoices is counted. Below that, you're going to see the total unique number of cats seen during this time frame, as well as the number of dogs seen. And then, like with the revenue graph, you're going to see the last 12 months in blue of the number of invoices, and then the same time frame 12 months before that in red. Again, taking into account seasonality, this gives you a good glimpse of how we're doing. And then on the right, again similar, the average invoice amount for this practice is $152.12 over the last 30 days, up 1.35% compared to a year ago, same time frame. With, again, we've got the blue and the red, the blue being the last 12 months. Scrolling down a bit further, we can look at the revenue for the practice broken down by the categories of revenue for this practice here: examinations, pharmacy, laboratory, etc. And with each of these, you'll see the amount and then the percentage of the revenue at this practice for that category. So in other words, of all of the revenue for this practice, 15.27% was related to examinations. And if you're interested in knowing, well, what invoice items go into examinations, you can click on the 48,000 or whatever the number is that your practice shows. You can click on these numbers, and it may take 5 to 10 seconds for this data to load. But when you click on it, it eventually is going to show you, as you can see here, the patient, obviously this was a dog here, the client information, when the invoice happened, the description on the invoice, this was a comprehensive examination, how much was spent, which doctor this client saw. If desired, you can also download these results into, for example, a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet. And then you can choose a couple other settings, whether you want the same formatting or just unformatted, if you want all the results from that query, and you can even choose the file name and save it and go through it in an Excel spreadsheet. So that's a nice thing about the data here as well. You can see it in both a table as well as in a pie chart here on the side. And so that's kind of the general overview. I like practices. I suggest they start by looking at the practice financial review, because this will kind of tell you what additional dashboards you should look at. Yes, revenue's up, but is it because of invoices or invoice amount? In this case, it's both. The practice seems to be doing a very good job with the total number of invoices. Average invoice is doing well, but might need some improvement also. Depending on this information, you may then want to drill down into some other dashboards. And now the next dashboard we're going to look at will be the retention dashboard. So practice retention. Now the practice retention dashboard has some unique points of data. The first piece that we're going to show is the total number of lapsing pets in the practice management system. All the definitions for each of these metrics are found underneath the title. You've got a description for each of the dashboards. But lapsing pets, by definition, is a pet that's come in for a core service. By core service, a core vaccine like rabies, distemper, or an annual examination, or an annual blood panel, a heartworm or fecal. Is if they came in the last 30 months and got a core service and yet have not been in the last 18 months, they show up here. You've got a total of 921 lapsing pets. 191 of those are cats and 729 are dogs. And if we want to see what those pets actually are or who those pets are, you can click on that number, 191, and it'll ultimately generate a list that you can either review and look at, or you can download into a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet. If you are an AllyDVM customer, you can then, of course, go in and generate a campaign under the communications module to reach out to those pets, but that won't be part of this particular training. A little bit lower, we've got our forward booking rates. By forward booking, we are just simply looking at any pets that came in over the last 30 days for a wellness visit or a core service. Again, we're talking core vaccines, wellness, blood work, annual wellness exams, heartworm tests, things like that. If they came in for a wellness visit, did they leave with their next appointment already booked? So for this particular sample practice, over the last 30 days, 45% of their wellness visits left with their next appointment booked. 44.5% were cats, 45.2% were dogs. And I'll make a note that these statistics should be fairly well apples to apples from practice to practice. We take out boarding appointments, grooming appointments, urgent care, emergency, so that practices really can be compared on an apples to apples basis. It's only looking at the wellness visits that left with their next appointment scheduled. Below we have retention rates. Here we're just looking at the percentage of clients and pets that after becoming a new client year over year, are they coming back or are they not? And so in order to be an active client, they had to have come in for a visit. You'll see the parameters up top. We're saying within a 24-month period of time. And then after that 24-month period of time, if it's been more than 24 months, we consider that client no longer retained. So we break down retention on a pet basis. 62% of the pets for this practices have been retained. Of those, 65% are dogs, 48% are cats. And then from a client standpoint, 68% is the retention rate for clients. A little bit lower, you're going to see some retention stats, which for some practices find to be useful. You can see on the left here, time since last qualifying visit. What that means is the time from a patient standpoint, when was the last time that a pet came in for a core service? Again, core being things like vaccine, annual wellness, blood work, heartworm test. So for this practice, 1,290 pets have come in for a core visit in the last 3 months, 1,100, almost 1,200 in the last 6 months, about 1,000 in the last 9 months. And of course, like with the other graphs, if we clicked on the graph itself, it's going to show you those 1,200 pets that had a transaction in the last 3 months, and with also their information, just in case you wanted to download this and do a specific campaign for these particular pets or clients. Scrolling down a bit further, you'll also see on the right side the past due count by reminder. This is going to break down all reminders in your practice management system and let you know how many pets are past due for the following items. So for example, for rabies, you have 575 pets that are currently past due, alive, active, and past due for a rabies vaccine. We can click on any of those numbers and see a breakdown of those 575 pets with their corresponding pet owners in case you wanted to do a campaign outside of AllyDVM system. And this is obviously a useful tool for the marketing team to know that, oh, we should do a rabies campaign or team up with a company to do a heartworm test campaign, wellness exams, fecals, flea prevention, so on and so forth, just depending on the reminders that are set up in your practice management system. And that's a quick overview of the practice retention dashboard. The last dashboard that we're going to review on this training is going to be the practice DVM revenue dashboard. Like with the other dashboards, you can choose the date range. So in this case, again, we're going to look at just the past 30 days. For practice DVM revenue, we click Run. And then we're going to see a couple important metrics. On the left side, we're going to see it's DVM revenue. Ultimately, it's going to show all employees that are assigned to a transaction. So it doesn't necessarily have to be doctors. It can also show technicians on occasions, or anyone. Practices are all different. Sometimes they'll only assign transactions to doctors. In some cases, if it's a tech appointment, they'll assign it to a technician. But we're going to see how much for that time frame, how much revenue is generated, how many unique patients were seen, how many dogs, how many cats, the average spent per pet, the average spent per invoice, and then the total dollar share. So what percentage of the revenue came from, in this case, Dr. Hunter. Again, for any more information on the breakdown of these statistics, don't hesitate to reach out to support at AllyDVM.com, and we can further explain any of the definitions found here. As you can imagine here on the right, the pie graph just shows you the same information on the left with a different visualization. And then down below, you'll have a breakdown of all of your employees that were assigned to transactions, broken down by category. So you can see on the left, anesthesia, boarding, right? So I'm going to show you these different doctors, how much revenue for each one of these items. Our suggestion is to click that triple dot on the top right and to download all of this data into an Excel spreadsheet. This table in particular, is most useful in an Excel spreadsheet because of how much data actually shows up. And of course, this data can be used to compare different doctors. So Dr. X does a lot more surgery than Dr. Y, or they do a lot more blood work. And so you can learn from certain doctors at your practice and figure out, okay, let's take from Dr. Cunningham, figure out why he's doing so well in this particular area, and maybe teach Dr. Gonzalez how to maybe apply some of the same tactics or methods being used or recommendations. So again, that's a brief overview of the Practice DVM dashboard. The only other dashboard that you'll see within your list of dashboards is a flea, tick, and heartworm market share. This is fairly self-explanatory. We'll just go into it briefly. You can choose if you want to look at all species, or if you want to just type in dog and cat, maybe just cat. I'm going to stick with all species again. Look at the last 30 days. If you click Run, as you can imagine, it's going to show you some statistics on just in general sales and compliance and the number of months covered for different heartworm preventatives and the average coverage on a product by product basis. We can look at market share for your practice and how it's been trending over the last 12 months with the different products that a practice uses to see, are we selling more of it or less of it. If you scroll in a little bit further for heartworm, you'll also see where the majority of your revenue is coming from on a product by product basis for heartworm, and then we repeat the exact same thing from a flea standpoint. The only unique thing that maybe we should point out with the data here is that from a market share standpoint or revenue standpoint, for the combo products, the all-in-one products like a Trifexis, for example, we do allocate 33% of the revenue for that product to heartworm revenue and 66% of the revenue to flea revenue. At the same time, if they do get a Trifexis as an example, we do count that as a month's coverage for flea and a month's coverage of heartworm. We only do the breakdown 66% and 33% again to flea revenue and heartworm revenue. And of course, in these cases, we can change the date ranges if we want. And if the data are hard to see, or if we want to see what the data looks like without a particular product, I can select or click on ProHeart here. It's going to remove ProHeart from the graph and just show me the 3 remaining products or 4 remaining products here. Or I can click on ProHeart again and it'll show it in the data there. So again, that was just a quick overview of the 4 different dashboards that we have currently exposed in the AllyDVM platform. Again, if there are any additional questions, please just reach out to support@allydvm.com.